Welcome back. This is Barry Farber with Jim McCann, CEO. I don't know, he's the man at 1800flowers.
The big mom.
The big... Welcome back. You know, on the previous segment, we talk about, you know, your background as a social worker and
Sure.
everything. And you know, this is an amazing book. You know, first of all, the title of this book. You know?
I can't resist the temptation to try and sell product at every turn, Barry, so...
Stop and Sell the Roses.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, lessons from business and life.
A little literary license with the smell. We went to the cell, you know.
How did you get that? How did that come up?
Well, you know, I guess in all candor, as I look at I'm a checklist nut. I make checklists about everything, and I maintain them, all different kinds of checklists. And if I were to step back and look at my checklist of things that I'd like to have done in life, one of the things that I had on that list was to write a book. Frankly, never thought that I'd actually get to do that.
How long was this checklist? Because
it's long, but I got a lot of checks on them now. You know, I'm 47 years old. You know, I got a bunch of check marks. Not going to add new things to the list, and that's not hard to do. You know that. You're always adding to your list.
We should always.
But I was giving a talk to some MBA students, and it was a broader audience than that. But the primary group was a bunch of young, bright MBA students. And a fellow came up to me after I finished giving my talk, and he said, "Have you ever thought of writing a book?" And I said, "Well, sure I have, but, you know, probably never get to it." And he said, "Well, what would motivate you to do that?" I said, "Oh, I don't know, a couple of things." He said, "Well, would X amount of dollars motivate you to do that?" I said, "Yeah, it would." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, you know, I run Random House, and I'd love to see you write a book. I think people would love to hear your story, and I'd be willing to write a check for that amount if you do it." I said, "Name that tune," and we started. And it took a year to write the book. And what's nice is it gave me an opportunity, A, to take the money and do some things that I've always wanted to do in the charitable area, fund a lot of the charitable efforts that my family and I are involved with.
Before we go on, that's the first thing is funny, all top achievers, high achievers, always have a way of giving back. Some charity or volunteer work, it makes you feel good, right?
Well, you know, it's what makes this a special place. And I don't mean to sound too corny about this, but at a time like this where you see economic turmoil in some of the other markets around the world, I think that, you know, as you look at the things that make this market so special, I think part of it is our charitable side. Another part of it is just a different way, the entrepreneurial fabric that we are, and I think those two things are intertwined. So if you're fortunate enough to have good success in your company, you have to ensure good karma too, and make sure that you're doing other things with it. I was with a lady last night at dinner who is very involved with the Alzheimer's Foundation. Just to see the time this woman puts in and the effort, it almost says, geez, maybe I'm not doing nearly enough because she's doing so much more than me. And I think that's a common thread you see in people around this country that makes us pretty damn special.
How do you get people in your company to give back? People...
It's not hard. I mean, it's not hard. In fact, you almost have to put the reins on them in other ways and say, let's get focused at what we do so we're sure that the efforts we have, whether it's our time or our money, to help a community group or to help a particular charity that we're involved with, that we really do make an impact. So we're always trying to turn the knob on the focus dial so that our efforts are really making a contribution. So it's not hard to get them involved in things. It's hard to corral them and make sure what they're doing is really going to have an impact.
There's a lot of things, we're probably going to go into the next break with this, but I want to talk about maybe the adversity. You worked with a boys' home where I read stories about these kids coming from, like, you know, broken homes and crime, and how you turned some of them around. But the adversity there, and maybe the adversity in building a business from scratch, what can you give viewers out there who right now might be going through a little adversity and need a kind of advice or insights from you?
Well, you know, I'll take a page out of your book, Barry, on that, and that is what's the common thread on successful people? And you know so many successful people. You study them and you report on them and you bring their stories to people through all the different venues that you work with, radio and through your book and through this TV program. And as I've watched you and as we've chatted about this in the past, the common thread I see in those people, they're not the smartest people in the world always. Sometimes they are, but they don't have to be the smartest people in the world. What they are is people who sometimes are too stupid to know that things can't be done. And in my case, I was definitely stupid, maybe still stupid, about not knowing what couldn't be done. Sometimes you know, oh, that can't be done because of that, and that can't be done. And sometimes those who do, just do it.
Do it, action.
That's the first ingredient. The second one is, when you're a nutty entrepreneur like you, Barry, or like me, when someone hands you lemons, we don't make lemonade. We say, hey, tequila time. It's time to get going.
You talk about, you know, they're not the smartest people, but there's Mark Twain said this comment. He said, "Ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure." And it's perfect for
Scary
what you,
but true, huh?
Is it, you know, you started this thing. How much did you? I mean, somebody, I guess maybe your brother or somebody joked about how much you had to put down to buy that number, 1800flowers.
I love the fact in my life that I get to work in a family business. It does have its downsides, though. My younger, all my brothers and sisters are involved at 1800flowers, and my brother Chris, who's 10 years younger, very handsome, and with a full head of hair, who I really hate a lot, reminds me that when we bought 1800flowers, it cost us $1 million a digit.
A million?
$1 million a digit, $7
$1
million.
million a digit?
So he reminds me of that often. So it's not always fun to have a younger brother around who can torture you all the time.
I want to talk about that investment. We're just buying a number and how you had to go through and then build the business when we come back. This is Barry Farber with Jim McCann, a legend with 1800flowers, and giving back. We'll be right back.